On Saturday evening, the Democrats of the White House and Joe Biden's election campaign experienced a new shock 6 months before the presidential election. The news that caused the US president to leave his vacation in Delaware half-baked and quickly enter the Situation Room in the White House. The reason for this commotion was Honest Promise, the name of the operation in which Iran launched its drone and missile attack on Israel. This operation was carried out in retaliation for Israel's attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus on April 13th this year, which resulted in the deaths of a number of senior Iranian commanders and high-ranking officers. But to what extent can this operation cause concern for the US president? And more importantly, to what extent can Israel's response to Iran affect his calculations in the few months left until the elections? The most important answer is found in the economy and the factors that influence it. In a world that has seen two major events in 2 years, namely the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas war, a direct confrontation between Israel and Iran has the potential to complicate geopolitical equations and tensions, as well as expand regional tensions to global conflicts. This is due to the fact that the Hamas-Israeli war led to the presence of other resistance groups such as Ansarullah, Hezbollah, and finally the Iraqi resistance groups in the Israel-Hamas confrontation scene. And this made the situation more complicated for European countries and the USA itself. With the start of the Ukraine war and the global increase in energy prices, US inflation reached more than 9% in March 2022, but this figure decreased to around 3.5% in March 2024. The effect of this increase in the inflation rate on the US economy was very disappointing at the beginning of Biden's presidency. By increasing LNG production and surpassing Qatar as the world's first exporter of LNG, Biden was able to gradually increase crude oil exports to 6 million barrels per day. Finally, by steadily raising the interest rate by the Federal Reserve to 5.5%, he was able to control inflation and return the US economy to pre-war levels. On October 7, 2023, another shock hit the region, and with the start of the Hamas-Israel conflict, the world entered a new crisis. But by controlling and stabilizing the price of energy, especially oil, during this conflict, the world economy did not see a serious negative impact. This time, the Red Sea crisis and the battle of the USA-Britain coalition with the Houthis in Yemen caused the traffic of ships in the Red Sea to be disrupted, and the United States faced a geostrategic problem. In this way, the price and delivery time of the goods increased due to the long route, which ultimately left a negative impact. The impact that this time affected the domestic economy of the United States was less, but Europe was once again in the crossfire of the damage of the war. In the situation where the Federal Reserve stabilized the interest rate last month in the range of 5.25 to 5.5% due to the relative control of the inflation rate, this created hope in the market that the interest rate will continue to decrease in the first half of the year to prevent the possible recession of the US economy. But the Honest Promise messed up all the equations in the fateful year and in the last months of the Biden presidency. On average, in advanced economies, every 10% increase in oil prices can increase the inflation rate by 0.1 to 0.2%. This is in a situation where the price of Brent oil reached its highest level in the last 6 months, which is $90 per barrel.
From a senior U.S. official that Israel has initiated a retaliatory strike against Iran.
With the Honest Promise operation and subsequent comments regarding Israel's possible response to this operation, which led to its missile attacks overnight on Friday, escalating tensions between the two countries, market conditions remain inflamed. In this situation, the worst news for Biden may be the price of oil reaching $100. Although Biden succeeded in limiting the effects of the Israel-Hamas war at the regional level and diverting the global increase in energy prices away from it, the missile attacks against Israel and Israel's retaliatory attacks are not considered a regional tension and have the potential to disrupt the global economy. Democrats and Biden know very well that the voters' eyes in November will be on fuel prices, and controlling energy prices and inflation will guarantee staying in the Oval Office for another 4 years. Therefore, the US president's effort to manage the tensions in the Middle East region, which is rapidly expanding in the current situation, derived from the election strategy of Biden for at least 6 months. In the current situation, the US economy is incapable of inflation above 4%. Thus, given the price of Brent, which has approached the range of $90, all tensions must be managed in order to meet Biden's demands and stabilize the existing conditions. Otherwise, the only happy character in this story is none other than the former US President, Donald Trump.
I'm gonna come. I want to put pressure on them. You got to see how they handle it.